day, way before I knew anything about photography, I brought my camera to a basketball game to photograph. I was click, 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 doing my thing. After the game, someone texted me, "Hey, can you send me the pictures from the game?" I look at the pictures. I text back, "What pictures?" I didn't take any pictures. I actually don't even have a camera. After that, I quit photography for a couple years. Then I got a new lens and a new camera, but like, it's about lenses today, so let's just let it be, okay? And boom, I went from 0 to hero overnight. And this, my friend, could happen to you too. If you buy my $1,500 course, now on sale for $999, just kidding. I'll give it to you for free. Thank you, Ava, they all chant. Today, we're gonna be talking about my go-to lenses for sports photography. Here's some things that you should know when you're looking at buying a new lens. This next part of the video is mainly for beginner photographers. So if you know a little bit about photography, please don't skip the video. Please, just skip a little bit. I'll tell you where. Skip to here. First, let's talk about aperture. And I have a special guest who wants to help.
If you don't know what aperture is, it controls how much light is in your photo and how blurry the background is.
Just kidding, it's myself. For sports photography, you generally want a low aperture lens. When you're looking at lenses to buy, the key number you want to pay attention to is the one after the F. I recommend buying lenses with an f-stop of 2.8 or lower. F-stop and aperture are pretty similar, and f-stop is just the measurement for the aperture, which I learned today. You learn something new every day, don't you? Fixed versus variable aperture. A fixed aperture means that the aperture stays the same the whole time you're shooting, it doesn't change, and it stays constant. A variable aperture is the opposite, so it will change when you're shooting, and you won't have control over it, which is not ideal for sports photography. Typically in sports photography, you want to have a fixed aperture. The problem is a fixed aperture is usually more expensive than a variable aperture. Now let's talk about zoom versus prime lenses. A zoom lens means you can zoom, and a prime lens means you can't. Zoom lenses typically aren't as sharp as prime lenses. They also tend to have a higher aperture. When buying a zoom lens, I would recommend sticking to f2.8 or lower. So prime lenses don't zoom, and they're usually pretty sharp, and they can also go to lower apertures, which is nice. So like f1.4, f1.8, and lower, but I don't have lenses that low. These lenses are great for low light photography because they give you more light because you have a lower aperture, but they don't zoom, which sucks. So sometimes if I'm using a prime lens, I'll have to switch to another one with a different focal length just to make sure I get all the shots I want. One prime lens, I'm not sure does it all. Lots of zoom lenses use a variable aperture, and I hate that. I actually hate variable apertures so much, but they are more affordable. So if you do want to go down that route, you can. Me personally, I don't recommend it. Something else you want to keep in mind is the autofocus. You really want a fast autofocus in your lens. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know how to check that. All the lenses I've bought were just recommended by other YouTubers, and so I bought them. I didn't pay attention to it, and it worked out fine, but it could be an issue, so maybe keep that in mind. Now we're gonna get into my favorite lenses. The first one is the 85mm f1.4. This was the first professional lens I ever bought, and I'm so thankful I did. This lens changed my entire life, and I know that sounds dramatic, but like, I'm kind of being serious. This lens is super sharp and great for indoor photography. 85 is a great focal length, but it's a little bit limiting and not great for outdoor sports. Overall, 10 out of 10, I definitely recommend getting this lens. The next lens is the 135 f1.8. I don't know where that is right now, but it's not lost, so don't worry about it. I'm not too sure if this lens is even for sports photography because I did notice some focusing issues the first time I was shooting. I haven't noticed them as much now, so maybe I just like adjusted to it. I was also shooting volleyball when I was doing that, and volleyball is really hard. What I love about this lens is it's so sharp. Like, the quality is insane. I wish all of my lenses were like this lens. Like, it's not my ideal focal length. Like, 135 isn't great for a lot of things, but I make it work because of the quality this lens produces. The last and final lens is the 70-200 f2.8. This brand is the Sony G Master, and if I were to recommend one lens, it would be this one. As much as I love the other two, this one is so versatile. It does it all. Another common lens people buy is a 70-200 f4, and I don't know if I can recommend that one because of the high aperture, and I find that I even struggle with the 2.8 sometimes in indoor sports. So I definitely stick to the 2.8 if you can for this lens. This lens is heavy though. When I was first learning how to use it, my wrist was hurting so bad because of how heavy it was. To fix this, you can get a monopod, but I don't really like using those. It just limits my mobility, but I have noticed that with time, like, my wrist gets stronger, I guess, and can handle it, and I'm not as sore. Overall, this is an amazing lens, and you can use it for every single sport: indoor, outdoor, close up, far away, you name it, this lens can do it. Honorable mention is my 35mm f1.4. I don't know why I'm putting this in there. I wouldn't recommend it for sport. It's good if you want to get creative with it, or if you're interested in storytelling, because this will get great establishing shots of the arena or the field, of the fans. I will say for after the game, this is really helpful because people will come up to you like, hey, can we get a picture? And it's really difficult when you have a high focal length and you have to take like 10,000 steps backwards. I just saw a TikTok about it. I'm gonna try and post it here. So I will say this is nice for that. I've used it before at a track meet where I could get really close to my subject. It was kind of scary. It was definitely really weird that I was doing that. I was like literally laying down next to the sand pits with my camera shooting people jumping over me basically. Not really, because I wasn't in the sand pit, but I was close enough where it was a little sketchy. I guess if there's any sport where you can get close to the athlete, use this. Some other lenses that I've heard great things about but I haven't used personally is the 28-70 f2.8. This is my dream lens. I want it so bad. Guys, like this video, comment, share it with your friends and family. Don't skip any of your ads. Watch them all the way through. Let's put in the work together so I can get this lens. Was that funny timing? There's an f2.8 and an f2. The f2, that's my goal. But I might go with the 2.8 because it's more affordable. Actually, they're both not affordable, one's just cheaper. And then the next one that is affordable is the 50mm f1.4. Any 50mm under f2 should do the job, but that's the word around town. Like I said, I haven't tried it. So now let's talk about how I use the lenses. For the 85, I mainly use this for basketball, volleyball, swimming, and other indoor sports. The 135 I mainly use for kind of the same things. I love using this for basketball because it gives a complete different look. It's a lot more isolated and like flatter, and I can get them playing defense on this as well, or like dribbling like from half court, because usually with the 85 it's only like within the 3-point line. It's not further than that. It also just makes the photos so beautiful. This could also be because of this thing, which I also just learned today, called native lenses or something. It's about using the same lens as the brand you have. So my 85 is a Sigma and the 135 is a G Master. So that could be the reason for the quality difference, because I've noticed that my 135 is sharper than my 85. I've said it before, but I don't think this has the best autofocus settings or whatever it's called, I don't know. I've shot swim and dive with this and I struggled a bunch to get things in focus. Next up is 70-200, and I use this, like I said, for everything, primarily outdoor sports. I don't like using this indoors because it's just not giving me enough light. I love the way that the photo looks and everything. I just don't like the colors in it, like the brightness is not where I want it to be at. Luckily now there's like tools coming out in Lightroom that you can use to fix it, like the denoise tool, or using masks. So like if you don't have access to a prime lens, the 70-200 has you covered. For the best overall lens, it's a 70-200 f2.8. For the best indoor lens, it's the 85mm f1.4. Those are my favorites, but it could change with your help. And if you like and subscribe and comment and get this video to 1 million views, we can make that happen. I bought the 85mm lens in November of my senior year, and that's when I really got into sports photography. And I knew that if I wanted to photograph the spring sports, I needed the 70-200. It wasn't even a question, but at the time I didn't have enough money. So what I did is I made a full proposal to my parents asking them for money. Not actually, it was asking them for a loan. I just needed to use their credit card for the upfront buying of it, and then I paid them back before the next credit card cycle, so they didn't ever end up paying for it. My mom wanted me to tell you guys that because sometimes I downplay it and make it seem like she bought it for me. These lenses are not cheap lenses at all. Sports photography specifically, it's not easy to get away with taking good photos with a bad camera or a bad camera lens, which really sucks, but there is another option, renting lenses. This video isn't sponsored, I literally have 3,000 subscribers, but with your help, and if you like and share this video, we can get up to 1 million subscribers in no time, okay guys? One day, I was carrying my backpack, my camera bag, which is like a zip camera bag, and I did not zip it, and I was walking, and then all of my camera lenses fell out onto the ground. And there was an audience. It was very embarrassing. I was like, guys, don't worry, they're fine, they're fine, they're fine. And then I look at my beautiful 70-200 and it's not fine. And like the lens didn't crack or anything, but the focus was not working, so it did not work. I knew I needed a new lens as soon as possible, and so I got online and I rented a lens from this company. They sent the lens over super quickly. It was very easy. And then when it was time to send it back, I hate returning things. I'm really bad at it, and that's actually like a serious thing I really need to work on. But anyways, I didn't want to return it, and so I just bought it, and it was really easy to buy it from the company. I definitely recommend looking into renting lenses just to see if you like it, or if you have like a special event coming up. That's all I have for this video. If you watched it all the way to the end, you're amazing and I love you. I just got monetized on YouTube, which is literally the coolest thing ever. It's always been my dream to be a YouTuber, and it's finally happening. So that's awesome, and I hope this video was helpful, and I'll see you in the next one.